Okay, so this is Diesel Weed People News. I thought this was interesting, alright? And Mrs. Fixed Child Support channel. So go over there and check him out. He'll give you a little bit more details of what this video is more about. But I like this one. I'd never thought about or anything, but I don't really think a whole lot about these things because, you know, as child support areas, that's not what I've ever actually been through. So these videos is more along the lines as a learning channel for other people, because I do have family members involved in these things. Even though if I'm not in it, you know, I do have friends and family that's gone through these things. And this video is without prejudice or recourse, and I'm reserving all my rights. And I'm not an attorney, nor care to be one. It's a learning video. Anything I say during this, it's just my observation. I am not giving legal advice. If you need an attorney, by gosh, go get one. I'm not going to stop you. Alright, let's check this out. Because using the First Amendment to help you in family court. Interesting concept.
You may hear many people, especially conservatives, belittle a Supreme Court case called Citizens United. But that case is wonderful for child support issues. Now, I'm not interested in having a conservative versus liberal debate here. What I'm interested in is what the Supreme Court has said and what our current constitutional law is and how it can be used to help us protect ourselves and our children in child custody suits and child support suits. And Citizens United is an excellent, excellent tool to help us do this. So Citizens United is a famous case, particularly in conservative circles, where it is particularly despised, even though it didn't really break any new ground. The court just applied existing First Amendment precedents, holding that money spent in support of speech can be protected as speech, even when applied to political speech. This isn't even the first time the court had done so, but for some reason, Citizens United has become a famous case that conservatives won't overturn. But while it's on the books, we need to use it to defeat the current child support regime. So let me explain to you how this works and how it helps us. So in our last Truth Bomb, we introduced the concept that the First Amendment protects you from being...
Didn't think about that, y'all. I never thought about this, right? So if money is basically by the Supreme Court's First Amendment, right? And then you got religion in the First Amendment, and the courts cannot divide the religion. So therefore, argument's sake, because I'm a guy, alright? If your wife or ex-wife has majority of the kid, then that actually violates the religious aspect, because she may have a totally different religion, you may have a totally different religion. However, the courts are actually denying you equal time of religion, which is the First Amendment. Anyway, going off a totally different subject, check this out.
Compelled to speak against your will. In Citizens United, in the cases that led up to it, the court tells us that where money is spent in support of speech, the spending of that money is protected as speech. And when we apply this concept in child custody, and particularly in child support issues, we quickly see that child support takes money from one parent and gives it to the other parent in a manner that makes that parent's speech stronger and the paying parent's speech weaker. Now this invokes censorship issues, which are not part of this truth bomb, but this is phrased in censorship terms. What we're going to get at further here is compelled speech, but both are fully protected by the First Amendment. So parents get divorced because their beliefs and values, which may have once seemed to be closely aligned, have begun to differ, or the parents just recognize that what they believed to be the same wasn't actually the same over time. What this means in practical First Amendment terms is that each parent will be teaching their child a differing set of values. And where the judge picks one parent over the other parent, The judge is specifically deciding which set of values will be conveyed to the child, not only with the power conveyed by the judge's stamp of judicial authority, but also through the authority that more actual time to speak conveys to the child, and with the authority that more money conveys to a parent's speech, especially with teenagers, where often the only control we have over a teenager is our willingness to fund their teenage activities. And the only time they're willing to listen to us and pay attention to us and abide by our rules is when they want to do something that requires our funding. And we insist that they follow our rules to keep.
I had to say, I wish I thought about this sooner, and I'm sure a lot of you guys out there would think that now too. But if I'm not allowed to speak to my kids as often as I would like, then the courts actually suppress my free speech to my kids and my kids' free speech to me. So there's actually two violations there the Supreme Court did. Alright? I say kid for y'all, but my son and daughters. Right? So the Supreme Court is violating the First Amendment of my son and daughters, and the courts is violating my son and daughters. That is actually an interesting concept. And like I said, you may want to check in some more videos of his. I haven't seen but this one. However, because it grabbed me, man, this made sense in a lot of ways. And I know that technically we don't have constitutional rights in the courts, but that's because we don't never challenge it. We always comply, people. Quit complying. And once again, I say not to get attorneys, and that's just my opinion. If you need one, go get one. But if the attorneys work for the court benefit, for the state's benefit, for the county's benefit, and their first obligation is not to you, then why in the world would you use them? Right? Everything's by consent of the governed. That's we the people. We are the governed. And we keep waiving our rights by always consenting to things. Just a food for thought. And maybe he did, maybe he didn't speak of the religious. If he's speaking First Amendment, maybe I ought to check out another video, see if there's religion in there. But there we go again. If your wife's religious belief is different than your religious belief, by your son and daughter being with your wife, ex-wife, then that's actually a second part of the First Amendment that the courts are denying you. Because now you cannot give him equal counsel of religion for your son and daughter to decide which direction. So therefore the courts are saying, well, you don't have the right to teach your kids the Fifth Amendment or the religious. So it's an interesting thought, y'all. Glad I found this video.
Our funding. That is the only leverage we have with teenagers usually. It's powerful leverage, and it's First Amendment protected leverage, and divorce courts and child custody courts are violating this right and taking this right away from us. And they're actually putting children in charge of parents. It's obscene what they're doing, but that is exactly what they're doing, and it violates the Constitution. So where the judge takes time away from a parent and compels that parent to pay the other parent to teach the child values and beliefs which differ from the paying parent's values and beliefs, the court impermissibly compels the paying parent to pay for speech which they disagree with. This is exactly what the most recent case tells us the courts cannot do. They cannot steal your money and force you to use that money to pay for speech you disagree with. That plainly violates the First Amendment, and that is plainly what they are doing with child support. and this is the argument we need to make against child support, is that it violates our First Amendment right, because it takes from us the power and authority to be parents over our children through our speech and conveys it to someone else, and it does so unlawfully. Even if it is a state law supporting their ability to do it, that stated law is unlawful.
That's so interesting. Y'all keep that in mind. I would go with remedies on that, y'all. Some of y'all already know how I feel about consent, but you also go with remedies. You can do remedies, all right? I will accept this if we can have 50-50 custody, right? And that's a remedy to the contract. So child support is a contract, and technically the judge cannot even be one-sided on the contract. It's all for the favor of the state anyway, so he's already in conflict of interest, number one. And I'm a firm believer that the only time you may need an attorney is if you go in with a meeting to, I forgot what you call it, but it's not really a judge, but they have a mediator in the middle, right? And you guys do negotiations on this contract, right? This is what I did with my grandson. And the only reason why I got a lawyer is just to make it easier to convey with another lawyer, and that way we can all get this contract settled in a timely manner. And the only reason why I even did that is because during this contract they agreed the way it was written to benefit me. So mine was more as a lawyer, as just to go ahead and get the contract done, not that sit there and argue and fight. All right. I was blessed in this certain predicament that I was in on this deal. So like I said, this is not really a beneficial thing to me, because my circumstance was way different than most. All right. Don't want to go into great details, but like I said, I'm raising my blind grandbaby right now, but the contract benefited me. And so therefore, since I already knew the terms of the agreements that I was going to go through, there was no waiver, right? We did change a couple little things, but the more we changed in there, the more it benefited me. So I was like, okay, well, I don't mind negotiating the contract, but we're going to make sure that I'm not going to lose, my benefit out of it. I'm going to gain. The contract is going to be in my favor. Okay? Anyway, I don't mean to ramble on. So, anyway, this is interesting. All right. Bye, y'all.